Nicole will be making landfall tonight as a hurricane. Right now, we are projecting that landfall near or just north of West Palm Beach. The time frame around 3-hour window, as early as 11 o'clock, as late as 2 a.m. While we continue to have the whole red area all the way up toward Melbourne as a possible landfall, we're really starting to zone in on that area north of West Palm Beach toward around Port St. Lucie. So that's the zone we're concentrating on. Again, a Category 1 hurricane, we think maximum sustained winds 75 miles per hour with gusts to 90. Now, it is also, Nicole, coming in between the high tide cycle, although there is going to be a high tide cycle tonight around 8, and that is going to be impacting the storm surge as well, because by this time, the storm surge will begin to build as Nicole gets closer and closer to landfall. The next high tide will be Thursday morning, but by that time, I think the wind flow for Vero Beach, Melbourne, Daytona Beach, and Jacksonville, at least in most of these locations, will start to be offshore, not onshore, although it may continue in Jacksonville onshore for a little bit of a time here. All right, that storm surge, a 3 to 6 foot storm surge, that's going to do damage. And keep in mind, the infrastructure of the beaches here in Northeast Florida already compromised because of the storm surge we had from Ian. Jillian Angeline reporting in Daytona Beach, many structures are already sustaining damage from the onshore flow that we've already had here this morning. All right, let's take a look at, as we continue to track Nicole making that landfall. Here we go, 8 o'clock. Here's that onshore flow. By the way, a strong onshore flow during high tide from Jacksonville, Melbourne toward West Palm Beach. Now, Miami, you're on the southern side of the storm, so you're going to have an offshore flow as Nicole approaches. Then we're looking at that landfall again anywhere from around 11 o'clock, midnight, 1 a.m., just north of West Palm Beach toward the Port St. Lucie. South of Melbourne, there's the onshore flow even toward Jacksonville. We'll continue to take this in towards 7 o'clock. So again, we still have that onshore flow now north of Melbourne toward Jacksonville. This is when we're starting to get that other high tide in the morning. So that means this is going to be another damaging storm surge, not only because of that storm surge, but you add the high tide onto it. Look at the heavy rain north of Tampa toward Orlando, and rain is going to be a huge problem here across central and north Florida, where we're looking at least 2 to 4 inches of rain. That dark green shading is 4 to 8 inches of rain, and that means flooding certainly across Florida. Now, as we head into the latter half of the week, you can see how Nicole continues to weaken, but move to the northeast, accelerating, because it's going to be taking this track away from the East Coast and more along, let's say, Interstate 81 toward Virginia. Look for the heavy rain along and on the western side of the center of circulation. And the other thing we're concerned about is severe weather, perhaps as early as Thursday night across South Carolina and Georgia, but then especially Friday from the eastern Carolinas all the way in the southeastern Virginia. And I think all forms of severe weather are possible, including isolated tornadoes.